I know is we try to, get that out the way and just been with us every day, behind closed doors. So just going into these games on a neutral court, we just try to believe in ourselves and just trust each other as much as we can.
Back in the second row. Thank you. Yep.
Hey, Los, as a point guard, can you appreciate Nembhard's got 333 assists? When you look at that number, I mean, what do you think as a point guard?
Nah, that's impressive. He's got 300 assists and probably 70 turnovers. So, I mean, is it somewhere around there? His assist-to-turnover ratio is off the chart. I know he's probably leading the country right now, but he's a really good point guard. I'm excited to match up against him and see what it's like. So.
Anything else for the Cougars of Houston? Right in front of you. Thank you.
So Maggie from Derby. So leading up tomorrow, how important is your leadership to the team leading up tomorrow? I think it's anybody.
You leader game.
LJ, go ahead.
You said leadership, right? It's going to take a lot of leadership in this game. They're a great opponent. They're going to make runs. And we just got to be able to weather the storm. And we're going to have guys making sure we're engaged at all time and not getting too low, because at the end of the day, they're a good team and they're going to have their moments and we're going to have ours. So when we have ours, we can't be too emotional.
You're so much more than just a landowner. You're a gardener.
Teams, that's trying to keep their season going on. So we're going to get their best shot and they're going to get our best shot. So I just feel like it's just come down to, who wants it more. It's a one-game tournament. We're not trying to think about, ahead of time. We just try to be where our feet are and just realizing that, you just got to limit mistakes and just go into this game, just be overly prepared and just know that, if we lose, our season is over. So we just keep that in our back of our heads and just trying to keep this going as long as we can.
Anything else for the Houston Cougars? All right, gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. Best of luck tomorrow. Head coach will be up here at 1:55. Thank you. Good luck. Head coach of the Cougars is here, Kelvin Sampson. We're going to ask him to make a statement about surviving and advancing yesterday and about the opponent tomorrow at the 7:40 tip-off, the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Kelvin, please.
Yeah, excited to still be around. Beats the alternative. But you know, this NCAA tournament is so exciting for kids, coaches, fans, families, everybody. But you know, as you advance and go from round to round, it only gets tougher. So every team you play is good enough to beat you. So your goal is just survive and advance. If you play good, you got a chance to advance. If you don't, you go home. Simple as that.
Start right here in the second row. Thank you.
Joseph Duarte, Houston Chronicle. Kelvin, just a little while ago, LJ was saying that this matchup was culture versus culture. When you look at the consistency of both programs over the last decade or so, what do you think about a matchup like this and being in the second round and really we could see this game being a second weekend, Elite Eight type matchup?
Yeah. Well, we've only been doing this for about 7 or 8 or 9 years, whatever it is. Mark's been doing this a lot longer, so don't compare us to Gonzaga. You know, we've been to, you know, if the pool kid doesn't hit that shot, that's 6 straight Sweet 16s for us, right? Well, they're 16, so we don't really compare to them. They're what every program aspires to be. Have that consistency year to year. We've been good in our little bubble, but what Mark has done is when you do this for a living like we do, you look at Gonzaga. Of course, I remember when Dan Fitzgerald was the coach. I remember when Dan Monson, one of my really good friends, Mark's one of my really good friends. I've been knowing those guys forever, and from afar, I've always admired them, always respected them, but also I've been proud of them too, because they're good friends and people that I have tremendous respect for. So when you're playing Gonzaga, you're playing one of the elite programs in the history of this game. And I really mean that. That's true.
We're on the aisle, then we're over there. Go, please.
Kenneth Bowman, Coug TV. Coach, yesterday, Mercy Miller got his most minutes ever in the season. What have you seen from Mercy that allows you to trust him? You know, it was a blowout, and certain situations allowed certain guys to play more minutes. But what have you seen from Mercy that's allowed you to trust him to see the floor more?
Well, Mercy's a hard worker. He's also a great kid. Really good teammate. He wants to be good. I think he realizes that he's playing behind some really talented older guys that can only help him. Comes to practice every day with the right attitude, and as long as he keeps his attitude and his effort at a high level, Mercy's going to be a good player.
Right-hand side, Coach.
Jason Bristol from KHOU. Good afternoon, Kelvin. Yesterday, Mike White, after the game, was here talking about their preparation for Gonzaga, and they mentioned about how they were trying to force skips and forcing their bigs to pass it. They made us pay. I was curious if you've noticed the same thing, you and your staff, about Gonzaga's bigs and what has impressed you most about them in reviewing the tape.
Yeah, I agree with what you said. They're good at that.
Austin Getz from KHQ TV in Spokane. Coach, you were just kind of talking about the relationship you have with Mark Few. I have to imagine that started when you were at Washington State. Do you have a greater appreciation for the program because you were so close in proximity to that and saw it when it was really the building blocks with Fitz and Munson and whatnot?
we were also young. I mean, Washington State was obviously the hardest, toughest job in the Pac-10. If it would have been a good job, they would have never hired me. They would have hired a real coach, somebody that was really good. I was 31 years old. You know, my first contract was a 2-year deal for $82,000. For you guys that are challenged by math, that's $41,000 a year. So I assumed they were doing that, and then so they could go find another guy. But the guy that saved me, in this day and age, I would have been fired. My third year, we lost 18 straight games. You know, I had a kid from Spokane named David Sanders. He had some kind of blood infection and lost him for the year in December before the Pac-10 season started. And then I had another kid from Snohomish. You can tell I worked at Washington State. Most guys never heard of Snohomish or Chelan, Moses Lake, Ellensburg. See, I'm down with the state of Washington. But we lost those guys. You don't have any depth as you're building the program. You're pretty good 1 through 5 or 1 through 6. So those are our 2 best players. And we beat USC on a Thursday at home, and then lost to UCLA on Saturday, and then lost 17 straight, including the first game of the conference tournament. But Jim Livengood was the AD. We didn't have social media then. This was in 1989, maybe, 89, 90. And Gonzaga wasn't as bad as we were at Washington State, but they were struggling too. But that next year, we got it turned around and, you know, did pretty good over the course of the next 7 years, 6 or 7 years. But I was a head coach of a USA team, and Dan Monson was my assistant. And his dad, Don, who's one of the great coaches in that part of the country at Idaho, and his best player was a guy by the name of Donnie Newman. And Donnie was my assistant at Washington State. And he loved Coach Don. And so Gonzaga was somebody we'd always looked up to. And then when they started rolling with Mons, and then Mons left and took the Minnesota job, right? Yeah. And then Mark came in, and now, all these years later, he's not one of the best coaches in our game. He's one of the best coaches our game has ever seen. You know, Mark is a Hall of Famer, not just Hall of Fame coach. He's Hall of Fame everything: father, husband, friend. He's one of those guys that makes our profession look good. Mark's a great guy.
Despite all those challenges you were talking about at Washington State, you were able to go to the NCAA tournament in 1994, your first trip ever. How often around this time of year are you thinking back to that team, and what was that experience like, you know, for a young coach like yourself to be able to get to the big dance?
Yeah, I still hear from a lot of those guys. Eddie Hill's an assistant at University of California, Riverside. Mark Hendrickson, we played West Virginia. We played in Morgantown earlier this year, and Mark brought his whole family and his little girl's basketball team, and got to spend time with Mark after the game. Well, last year we played the Veterans Classic at Annapolis at the Naval Academy, and he came over and I actually had Mark speak to the team. He did an awesome job. Mark's an awesome guy. So I still hear from a lot of those kids, and I appreciate it because it always makes my day when I hear from them. I love that team.
We are halfway through. We have 3 questions up, all on the right side. Go, please.
Eli Letterman, ESPN. Kelvin, you've been in this tournament before. You know what it takes to make a deep run in it. I'm curious if there are different dimensions about this team this year. The shooting, I know Los' development has been a big piece that do give you that confidence that maybe you guys have different dimensions that can carry you.
Yeah. Well, there's no substitute for talent. You know, actually, when we were in the Final Four, Gonzaga was in the Final Four with us that year. I think they played, who they play? UCLA, and we played Baylor. It didn't take me long to realize we weren't as good as Baylor. You know, that might be the best team we've played since I've been at Houston. They were that good. But I think the clear second best team in the country that year was Gonzaga. I thought the two best teams in the country played in the championship. I don't think we were quite as good as Baylor. And Gonzaga was right there behind them probably. But our team this year, we have, I think we have a really good team. I don't think we're great. You know, it's not this team can shoot better than some of the other teams. We have more guys that can make a basket. But, you know, we're like every team. We have to play really good to win. We have to have certain things go our way. But this team has gotten better over the course of the year. One thing you know, older coaches tend to try to educate when people ask questions. They try to control the narrative, if you will. I've learned to never overreact to games in November, wins or losses. It's amazing how people put a period at the end of a game in November. They don't matter. It doesn't matter. You know, we lost 3 games in November, and I thought all of them were good for us. I mean, honest to God, we tried to beat Auburn. Couldn't. Tried. They just beat us. Alabama, we had a chance to win that game. Probably the game that kind of wish had back a little bit was San Diego State. And then once we got home, problem with playing in a tournament where you're going for 7 days, you never get to practice. So once we got home and got to where we could practice, our team started improving, especially when Uzan started getting better. But I give our players a lot of credit for that. Our players gave him permission to be their point guard, and they encouraged him. They made sure he knew that they believed in him. You know, sometimes the coaches get way too much credit for stuff. Our program is very much a player-led program versus a coach-led program. Our players, tremendous kids, great character, integrity. We never worry about discipline problems. We don't have any of that. And they do a great job of caring and taking care of our culture. And that's one of the reasons why we've been able to be as consistent as we have been.
Standing up, thank you.
Yeah, Theo Lawson with the Spokesman Review in Spokane. You guys played Arizona twice. How many parallels do you see between Mark's team and Tommy's team, and can you kind of draw on those experiences when playing Gonzaga tomorrow?
Yeah, not many similarities because their personnel is so different. Both teams are really talented. Both teams really have great size. The Visar kid and the Awaka kid. I mean, Arizona's big, but and they started 2 5s against us. I think the second half in the tournament, which was a good move because we didn't have Roberts. Roberts didn't dress for that game, and so we just figured a way to win the game. I think the difference in the two teams is Nemhart. You know, it's hard to duplicate him. You have a point guard, they have a point guard, but your point guard's not like Nemhart. You know, he has an uncanny ability to get the ball to their bigs when they're open. A lot of guys see that they're open, but by the time the synapses are firing and the ball's delivered, they're not. He gives them, as soon as they turn, they have it. You can't teach that, you know. So if I was going to say the difference, I'd say they both have great size. They're both really talented shooters, good guards, but they don't have Nemhart. He's a very special point guard.
5 minutes to go. Next question is right here. Thank you.
Kelvin, the ability to get your regulars some to pull them early yesterday, given that you won't have many of those opportunities later, how important was that, especially for maybe someone like J1? And if I could sneak in, didn't you try to get a game with Gonzaga in 2021?
Gonzaga. It always burns me up when people say that. You know, it's like calling me Kevin. My name is not Kevin. My mother used to say, people would see my name and say, "Hey, Kevin," and she would say, "Don't let people call you Kevin. Your name is Kelvin. Make sure they pronounce your name right." So that's why my antennas go up with that. Same with Gonzaga. They were our neighbors. It's not Spokane and it's not Gonzaga. It's Gonzaga and it's Spokane. Go ahead.
Well, Gonzaga, didn't you schedule or try to get one that year when you had, I think you had an open week or something?
Yeah, I know Mark and I talked about it a couple times. Regular season and scrimmage. You know, I remember Tony Bennett. Tony called about the same time, and he wanted to come scrimmage. And I remember saying, "Scrimmage, let's just play." And that's how we played home and home with Virginia. And Scott, I think Mark and I, we were going to go play in. I could have this wrong. Did Gonzaga play Baylor in like South Dakota or somewhere like that? Yeah, I think they had talked to us about doing that, but I don't remember the details or why not. But yeah, I don't remember. We schedule enough losses in the non-conference. We don't need another one.
Anything else for the head coach? Yes, right in the center there, about 2 minutes to go.
Kelvin, I know they're on the other side here, but I'm curious of your impressions of Drake and perhaps what you've seen from Ben McCollum in terms of either the basketball they play or the ability to establish an identity in what's been a short period of time.
Yeah, I haven't seen enough of them to have an opinion. The only time I saw him was when we were getting ready to play Kansas State. And one of the games I looked at on film was their game against Drake. And the thing that stood out was how disciplined and how well drilled they were. I mean, as a coach, you look at the way they ran their stuff and how connected they were. And you can tell, I don't know their coach, but you can tell he's really good.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Best
guys.
of luck tomorrow against the Bulldogs. Cougars and Bulldogs, 7:40 tip tomorrow. Thank you. Next up are the Bulldogs student athletes at 2:20.
for the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now, and the best partner is the one who can deliver.
Check, check, check. 1, 2, check, check. Checking the mic. Check, check. Yep.
Great. How are you doing? Yeah. So now where you sent me a bunch of stats on our matchup. We're gonna put out a column of because they're number one in defense, we're number two in offense. What else? A lot of fun. It was pretty cool. Makes me nervous. I'm like, what else could I do?
You sent me a text? You know, I didn't see, I was busy up here, so I didn't even know what was going on. Oh, didn't? No, he was hurt. Sorry. I think he's a little sensitive on it. Yeah. No problem. We're good. You know what I say? Blame your mother. That's right.
I wanna shoot, baby. Shoot, shoot, baby. Shoot, baby.
Ryan Nemhard, Michael Ajayi, Ben Gregg represent the Gonzaga Bulldogs, number 8 seed. They have a date with Houston Saturday night at 7:40. They have survived in advance to this point. We're going to open up with questions for the three young men, and 20 minutes max. Right there. Thank you.
Kaya Crawford with the Gonzaga Bulletin. Michael, just starting off, how did it feel to experience your first March Madness minutes, and what are you looking forward to in the next matchup?
Ryan, we'll start with you. Is that question for all? Just Mike. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I felt great. You know, our first game, playing a good team like them, like it was great. You know, we started off 20-3 run, and yeah, when I got in, I just provided a spark off the bench, you know, rebounding and playing great defense for my team. And, you know, just adjusting to that, I feel like we all did great and to get that dub. And then looking forward to Houston, really excited. You know, feel like that would be our hardest game of the season, but I think we're battle-tested for that. And, yeah, can't wait to, you know, duke it out.
Left-hand side, gentlemen.
I would just like to talk about the point guard matchup tomorrow. And Coach Sampson was really high on talking about you, Ryan. And just can you talk about, you know, what it's like going up against a team that has another good point guard? Kind of what is your mentality as a point guard?
Honestly, I respect all those guys over there. I think they're great players. I think they got a great program, great tradition over there, great coaching. So this is a great program, and I'm really not too worried about that one-on-one matchup. I'm really worried about the team matchup, getting the win. Obviously, he's a great player. He's done some great things for them during the year, but I don't think it's a matchup of me and him. I think it's two great teams, and I think it'll be a full team effort to go get this win tomorrow. So that's how we're looking at it.
State.
Sorry, can I just do a follow-up with that? Coach said that you have the ability to make the pass to your big men even before they realize that maybe they're open. And what is that? Is that just a timing thing? Is that just the connection you have with your big men?
Yeah, I think it's just a connection we have for sure. 2 years playing with both those guys. Pretty easy. All I got to do is get them the ball in the right spot, and they're going to do the rest. And I think it's just a combination of the sets that we run, our system, and the positions that the coaches put me in to execute some plays. And I've played a little while in college basketball now, so I feel like the game's really slowing down for me, and I'm able to see all my reads pretty easily.
Right-hand side, gentleman in the back.
Darren Allred, KGAF Radio. I know you're always taught to just take one game at a time, but when the brackets came out, not that you were ever overlooked Georgia, but in the back of your mind, were you looking at that matchup with Houston being the number 1 seed and thinking about them a little bit?
Let's start with Ben and come this way.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely easy to, you know, see Houston on your side of the bracket, know that if you win on Thursday, you're going to have to face them on Saturday. But, I mean, it really is taking one game at a time because, you know, this time of the year, if you overlook anybody, I mean, your season can be over. So all our attention was focused in on Georgia, and, you know, taking care of business yesterday. And thankfully we did. And I mean, it's a quick turnaround now. It's going to be hard to prepare for a team like this in, kind of a day and a half. But our coaches do such a great job of, breaking down film and getting our game plan ready to go. So a little bit of time on court today and then watching a lot of film. We're ready for this matchup and excited for it.
To piggyback off Ben, just taking the game by game and treating each game like it's our last. And with Houston, I feel like we want to treat it like it's our last game against Georgia. Just playing hard, being aggressive from the jump, defending well and rebounding, and just playing 40 minutes of basketball. And so if we do that, I feel like we have a great shot at any team.
Yeah, I think they said it perfectly.
Right there. Thank you.
Okay, I've been dying to ask this since yesterday, but when he jumped the table yesterday, and then he jumped back, does he just show off like that?
He knows when the cameras are on him, for sure. He's just a character, man. He's one of a kind, goofball, and it was kind of a show-off thing yesterday. I think he showed off his bounce a lot this year, but just a little cherry on top yesterday, jumping over a table. So.
Jersey in him, man. So that's just that. We love him, man. That stuff ignites us, gets us going. So we love that he brings that spark and that character and that energy to our team, and we need it. So we love that about him.
Anything else for the Bulldogs? All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. Your excuse. Best of luck tomorrow. Gonzaga and Houston, 7:40 Central Time. Thank you. Coach Mark Few is up here from 2:40 to 3 o'clock.
Mike and Caleb were talking about when you come to Gonzaga as a transfer, you learn the history. How fun is it for you guys to be able to kind of like share the history, talk about those experiences, the deep runs that you guys made, and for those guys playing in their first tournament?
I mean, it's a lot of fun, especially for me as a young fan of these guys. I remember these runs that they made, watching them on TV as a young kid, and now to be a part of it and share it with these guys is awesome. It's super special for me. I know it is for a lot of the other guys. So, we are a part of history, and that's pretty cool to think about. But right now, we're just taking one game at a time.
When you throw on that film of UH, what jumps out?
I mean, I think everybody would say their physicality, their toughness on the defensive end and on the glass. I think our conference gets overlooked for their physicality. I think at the top we have some really physical teams, St. Mary's, Santa Clara's. So we face some physical teams, so, kind of looking forward to, feeling them out on the court and seeing what they're like.
A lot of people think you guys got underseeded. You kind of got hosed in that. Now you got to play one seed in the second round. Smile, what goes through your mind with that whole concept? I mean,
we're gonna have to play, the top seeds sometime. If we keep on winning games, no matter what seed we're at. So, this year we just have to play them a little earlier than we would have liked to. But that's what March Madness is. That's what makes it so fun. Such a great tournament. Two top teams playing against each other every round. No round's gonna be easy. So it's just something you look forward to as a competitor.
Ryan said yesterday kind of the more desperate team is going to be able to win and win out and go on a deep run. Do you feel like you guys played like that against Georgia, and do you feel like you're going to need to do that against Houston?
For sure. I mean, this time of the year we had to be desperate. We don't want to go home yet. We know if we lose, we're done. And I know for me as a senior and the rest of these guys that are seniors, we're not ready to go home yet. So there is a sense of desperation that we're playing with right now, and a big-time chip on our shoulder. Coming in as an 8 seed, we felt we should have been higher than that. But, it is a desperation right now, and we're ready to play anybody.
Thanks, Ben. Thank you, Getsy.
The 2:40 to 3 o'clock slot is reserved for head coach Mark Few of the Bulldogs. They will meet the Cougars Saturday night at 7:40. We're going to ask Mark to start off with a statement on surviving and advancing and possible tomorrow's opponent, and then we'll go to questions. Mark, please.
Well, as I shared with the team before the tournament, there's no better feeling than moving on and having that another day together, and just the excitement of preparing for a huge challenge like the one we face, but doing it in the NCAA tournament. So we'll tee it up here in practice and get over some stuff. And again, it's funny the way things turn out. I think the players were already fatigued about how much I talked about Houston during this year to them, and referenced Houston and Kelvin over and over again. And then lo and behold, they end up here, and we end up with a chance to play them. So incredible amount of respect for Houston and their program. It's just amazing what they've been able to build down there and just kind of capture the whole city and the way they've done it. And it's just a unique style of intensity and toughness and accountability. They do a great job of accountability, and their players understand that. You can tell there's a lot of love from the players to the head coach, and just I'm so happy for Kelvin, man. He's one of the great ones in our profession and one of the fun ones, and he really helped me out when I was first getting going on those old Nike trips. Kind of took me under his wing, and I always remember him and Karen doing that for Marcy and I.
Start right here. Dennis, thank you.
Mark, since you raised that, was there anything in particular you did on those trips to get you going?
Just you're in with there's a lot of those guys. Once you get one-on-one with them, around them are great. And Roy Williams did the same thing for me. Jim Boeheim. You're looking up to these guys, and then they treat not only me but my wife, who's nervous on those things too, and golfing outings and dinners and things like that. And you find out they're great people, and they're in many cases just like we were, and fun, and stay in contact. And heck, we get Christmas cards from Kelvin every year, and excited to watch his family grow and expand. And then again with Kelvin, you got to understand now, man. I mean, nothing was given to him. I mean, he coached at Montana Tech. Got his start at Montana Tech, and unless you're a big fly fisherman like me, there ain't many people getting to Butte, Montana. It's on the way to a couple of the greatest rivers in the lower 48, but that's about it. And great success there. And then he's down the road from us at Washington State and had awesome success there. And I mean, he just wins everywhere he goes, and is just a amazing guy, amazing coach, and it'll be an honor to tee it up with him tomorrow, and see what we can do.
Hey, Mark, Will Kunkel with Fox Houston. The outside notion is that you guys kind of got hosed, underseeded. Now you have to play a 1 seed in the second round. Is there a positive, though, from your standpoint, that you get to play a 1 seed this early versus maybe later?
We don't even look at it like that. I mean, it's just like once the tournament comes out, all the speculation of where you're going to get seeded and all that. I mean, I think as you get older, you're just like, whatever. You're going to have to play great teams or hot teams, or probably even scarier than that, really, really lucky teams. If you win and advance in this thing. And I remember I thought I hurt one of my first teams we ever had. We were focused on 1 seed and didn't get it. In fact, got seeded really low, and I thought that kind of brought our whole aura down and everything. And we went into the tournament with the wrong frame of mind. So at some point, like I said, you're going to play a great team, and this is a great team, and it's a great, well-coached or greatly coached team, and it'll be a huge challenge. So, I think our guys are really looking forward.
You know Harbor Freight for affordability, but durability goes right along with it. You see, we test
to try to put it all together, but a lot of things we've been doing all year hopefully will help us against them.
Mark, both you and Kelvin have extensive national team experience, but particularly you, I've noticed since 2015. You haven't paused to take a breath. I wonder how, beyond patriotism and everything else, that you've committed yourself that much to that.
Well, Dennis, it's been awesome. I mean, it's really been awesome, and I just consider it the highest calling you can get as a college basketball coach, and then to be able to kind of top it off with a gold medal last summer was like one of the coolest things I've ever done. And it wasn't even so much the accomplishment, it was just the journey with the people you did it with. I mean, everybody's probably tired of me talking about it, but just, Steve and Spo and Ty and Grant Hill and Sean Ford, who is like the unsung hero. Anybody who's ever done anything with USA basketball will tell you this. I mean, Sean Ford's the most amazing person I think I've ever met in this whole basketball world with what he's done and what he's accomplished with all that. But the players were awesome, man. Incredible. Great guys, so focused, so dialed into just, winning the gold and doing whatever it takes. So made for a really, really special time. So it wasn't like anything, but yeah, that's what's so great about having a family that supports you, because, I mean, they were able to go around, follow us around, and do some things and kind of sacrifice time at home, time at the lake, and everything to do that.
Real quick, given that you've done literally everything in the profession, if the time comes and you're done and you retire years from now, if you don't get there, because you got two coaches tomorrow who've done everything but win the national championship, how's that going to sit?
I don't. It's fine. I've had a great life. I'm fine. Listen, I'm as competitive as anybody. Too crazy competitive. I think I referenced that last night. You get hooked on winning. You want to win everything. You want to win at everything you do. But I think coaching is about getting your team prepared and being ready for them to play, the best, and each individual player achieving their highest potential, not only individually to move them on from Gonzaga, because I think that's really important, but just also, for our teams. And then you just let the chips fall where they may, We've been right there several times. We've had, several teams that should have got to a Final Four and beyond that didn't. But, hey, blessed to been able to be a part of those and get us that far.
Joseph Duarte, Houston Chronicle. Mark, having known Kelvin for as long as you have, did you notice or see a change in maybe the style of how he coached when he spent the time in the NBA, those 6 years, and maybe how things evolved from when he was at Oklahoma to now?
Not really, guys. He was a great coach at Washington State. I mean, that was back in the day when the pack was really rolling now, and he was going against Lute and some of those teams and playing them even. And so I think he just adapts to the level of players that he's able to get at each spot and coaches the heck out of them, and that's why they're so good. And they do a great job evaluating, and like I said, they do a great job of finding guys that want to play their style and hold them accountable, and everybody understands it, and that's why they're so incredibly successful.
All the way in the back, thank you.
Austin Getz with KHQ TV in Spokane. Coach, Kelvin was kind of talking about when he was at Washington State, the relationship that he had with you and Fitz and Dan, and talking about trying to build programs and how young he was, and thinking back to those times. Do you think back to the times when you were assistant very often?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Especially with Dan Munson living in Spokane and coaching at Eastern now. We always, bring up some stories and talk about them, I mean, I share them with our team. I think it's valuable stuff to know. Nothing was ever gifted to Kelvin on his journey and all this, and nothing was ever gifted to the Gonzaga program. And I wish everybody in college athletics would kind of understand that. We played in that crappy little gym through an Elite Eight and 2 or 3 Sweet 16s. And then we finally built an arena. I mean, the worst locker room in America, and nobody ever just built it to us just because, we complained or thought we needed it because everybody else was winning. I mean, we earned it, and same with coaching salaries. We earned it. And nothing was ever given until we did, and recruiting budgets and travel and things like that. And so, and Kelvin's lived that same life. So, hey, massive respect, and it's great to be able to share those stories, not only with Kelvin, but with Dan and Billy and Leon and all the guys that have kind of went through it with us.
We are halfway through our allotted time. But if there are no more questions for the head coach, we will dismiss him. Thank you very much. Cougars and Bulldogs tomorrow, 7:40. Hey, best of luck.